You know, it's quite amazing how in gender and sex, we have people who believe that gender and sex are not the same. Why is that, we wonder? From a person who is not um, from a person who is not, I'm gonna say, formally educated in college or anything along those lines, and grew up pretty tomboy, I gotta say this. It's getting insane to where we are believing in the fact that LGBT and gender and sex are the same when they are. Gender and sex are the same exact thing for everybody in this world, and maybe a tiny percentage with intersex. But why I say that gender and sex are the same is the simple reason of because whenever you were born, that decided the sex that you were going to be biologically, male or female. There is no such thing as non-binary, and there is no such thing as anything else. It's either male or female. Even for intersex people, this is just what I find interesting, and this is just my opinion on that. Intersex people still have the right to go by as one or the other, female or male. A lot of intersex people actually do that. I mean, it's pretty common for them. They are such a minority. I guess I can say that, it's such a minority that I guess it doesn't really fully matter for them, but I do not believe that they are the same as transgender people. And here's why: because they were born with both male and female genitalia. A majority of transgender people or transgender men and women were not born with both female and male genitalia. So therefore that makes that, whole scenario completely different. I fully believe that if an intersex person believes that, they want to transition from the biological gender or, the gender that their parents, decided to raise them at birth, they should have the right to do that. There is no qualms I have about intersex people compared to a person or me who was born as a biological female. And what fascinates me about people who believe that gender and sex aren't the same is because they believe in traditional, like that society dictates what women and men should be able to like. Whenever I was a kid, I was pretty tomboy. I liked superheroes, and if you can't tell, I like superhero movies. I liked, going out and getting dirty and playing in the mud and wearing jeans and t-shirts. That was always like my main thing: jeans and superhero t-shirts, which is still a thing now. Now I just wear shorts. But I really liked playing in the mud, having messy hair that was shorter than this, and just straight up, not wearing dresses at all. I hated dresses. I hated anything to do with them. They were such a nuisance whenever I grew up, between the ages of 8 to around 18. I just mostly wore jeans and a t-shirt because that was just my personal preference. But it didn't make me any less of a girl. I believe that I believe that I am a girl. I was born a girl, so therefore I am a girl who just prefers to wear jeans and a t-shirt. And there is nothing wrong with that. Just like there is nothing wrong with boys and young boys who want to wear dresses and likes feminine things. Those are just, boys who like to wear dresses and feminine things. That is totally fine. There is nothing wrong with that. But non-binary people believe that their actual style reflects on their whole gender as a whole. Like, it's like impossible for a non-binary person to exist because they believe that they are above being a male or female, which I think is by far the stupidest argument that you could possibly explain. Like, what do you think about your life? I mean, I don't get it. Like, what in the world causes you, if anybody's non-binary and decides to sit here and talk about this video, what in the world causes you to believe that non-binary people actually exist? Like, legit, what goes on in your brain? That is the nice way to say it, because, I mean, is it like just a style choice or what? Because there are plenty of women who believe that they are actually biologically women who do not have to change anything about themselves to continue being women. Same with men. There are plenty of men who are traditionally born and biologically born men who wear dresses and wear, different things and just grow out their hair and do the things that, natural feminine girls or girls do. And that is okay. It does not mean that you are a non-binary or they/them just because you do these things. It doesn't mean that you're gender fluid just because you wear a feminine dress one day and then the next day you start wearing jeans and t-shirts like a normal southern hick. What in the world makes you think that non-binary exists? What makes you think that anybody in this world wants to call you non-binary? I legit ask because every single time I've seen a non-binary person, it's always been, well, you gotta respect my pronouns, or, I'm they/them now, and you gotta respect that. Why should I respect you as a minority and have to reaffirm you and your belief that you are a they/them? Why should anybody in this world have to respect that? There is no respect for any of that. There is no respect for people screaming at another person because they're not going to affirm their gender identity. Why should we respect any of it? You want to know how do you gain respect? By treating people the way that you personally want to be treated. It's not the end of the world if you are misgendered. And it's not the end of the world if a trans man gets disrespected and gets called a girl because of how they look. A girl is a girl and a man is a man. Plain and simple. There is no such thing as they/them. You're either going to look really feminine or you're going to look really masculine. And if somebody messes up that pronoun, why should you care? Legitimately, what did it do to you? Did it hurt your little feelings? Did it make you cry at night? Did it go, oh no? Did they hurt you? What? No. Gender and sex are the same exact thing. Because gender is what you were biologically, could be what you're biologically born by. Real transsexuals do believe in what they were biologically born as. Because without that belief, you can't be trans. You cannot. It is almost impossible to believe in biology or to believe that you're trans if you do not believe in biology and you do not believe in your biological sex. Because believing in the biological sex of what you were born as and you're not identifying with that feeling personally as a man or a woman, why in the world would gender dysphoria even be a thing? If we completely eliminate the idea of gender existing altogether, why in the world would any transsexual need to transition? That's basically canceling yourself out, and that's what the they/thems are doing, is canceling out the transsexuals. Because the moment you start believing in any of that is the moment that the transsexual community is going to be taken out. Because if biological gender does not exist, or biological sex does not exist, there is no reason for any transgender person to transition to a male or female. And if we keep letting this they/them shit keep going, we're going to have no reason for a transition at all. Like, that's going to completely undermine anybody who wants to transition or look the opposite gender at all. Why would there be any sort of need for that if we can just go by they/them and anybody can go as anybody without even having to try, or even look for this in-between look so they can pretend to look like a female or a male that's in between? That's just harmful on your body, it's harmful on other people, and it's just straight up so blasted entitled. Transgenderism is not a life-saving surgery. It's not something that people need. And it's not something that people should be forced to do just because they feel a little bit feminine or masculine one day or the other. There's only two biological genders, and that is male and female. There is no such thing as they/them. They/them people are just people who are using a fancy term so that they can feel included inside of this little bubble of the LGBT community and not have to do anything to change their look, change their change change their way of thinking or anything along those lines. That's really all that it boils down to. It means that you don't have to try to look the opposite gender, and that is all that transsexuals are doing. Whenever a transsexual appears, or at least in what I've learned from Blair White and Marcus Dibbs, shout out to them, by the way, if they ever watch this video, which is highly unlikely, a transsexual person such as, you know, Marcus Dibbs, he went through surgery because I use the term he because he actually looks it, and he's respectable and does not deny the fact that he is a woman who transitioned to look like a girl. He's a trans man. Great guy. He explained it as feeling out in their body and not feeling 100% correct. Same with Blair White, who said that they do not feel 100% like a man or a woman, so they transitioned themselves to look like the opposite gender. So, from what I can tell, Blair White did this because of the fact that she, and yes, I use again she because she looks very much like a woman, she just was not feeling correct in her body, so she wanted to feel and look as a woman. But you know, it's pretty much as a last resort for anybody with gender dysphoria. And I'm not discrediting anybody who transitioned due to gender dysphoria. No, that is a hard thing to do because you gotta actually look the part. You gotta present as the part each and every day of your life. You know, you basically become a doctor patient for life and have taken and understood the side effects that were gonna come along with it. Which, again, totally fine. Have no problems with that. But it's not the same thing as believing that you are any less than the biological gender that you are, which they have never denied that they are not the biological gender that they are currently. They are just men/women who went through surgeries to look like the gender that they feel on the inside, or look like the gender that they want to present as or feel as, which is totally fine. Respectable in that sense. I totally respect that way of going at it. Like, you know, if it really helps them out with their mental health, again, no problems. But where the non-binary community is, I've never seen a non-binary person actually look beautiful. Why is that? Well, can't say that right. I've seen lesbian Snow White, or whatever her name is. I'm not even sure, you know, if she even thinks that she's a lesbian anymore. I mean, you cannot be non-binary and present yourself and call yourself a lesbian, because lesbians are biological women who like biological women. And that's another thing that I think the LGBT community is starting to do, because the trans community is starting to slowly take over each and every group that they were, you know, going as, and trans men are now self-identifying as gay. And then getting mad whenever the gay men don't want them. Like, why would a gay man want a biological woman presenting herself to look like a man? Same with the lesbians. Lesbians are getting trampled on by biological men who are presenting themselves to look like women and then self-identifying as lesbian. And then get mad whenever the lesbians don't want them either. Because again, biological sex and gender are the same. You can take as many surgeries as you like. You can do all the things. You can take all the drugs that you need to present yourself as the opposite gender. And you can even do all of the surgeries and all of the top surgery, bottom surgery, whatever. But it'll still never make you the opposite gender. It never will. You can try to present yourself as best you can, but it'll never, ever, ever make you any less of a man/woman, biologically. Biologically, you will always be that gender for the rest of your life. And even whenever you're dead. Because whenever you're dead and they look up those bones, it's going to come up as man/woman. And the only reason that I even decided to come out with this video today is because I actually had somebody post on my videos just to think that I'm stupid, you know, and not know what I'm talking about, and it was kind of funny. You know, I don't know if she'll actually watch this video, but if you do, this one goes out to you, random person on the internet today who made me kind of annoyed, so I felt like doing this video. She might not even watch. But hey, life be fun. Next week in this video, I'll tell you guys all about my idea for zombie dinosaurs. I think it's going to be a hit. I'm definitely going to write that in a podcast.